All right, everybody. Welcome to the 307th edition of the Holy Backboard podcast. I am Dustin here in Rip City, and I got my man.
Sage chilling live and direct. Already did one podcast this week talking about the upcoming season. So I'm actually warmed up and ready to talk about actual players and games. In the podcast I was in with Tara, I forgot who Killian Hayes was. I had all of these really important points I was trying to talk about, then I just forget people's names that I'm trying to highlight. So it was a good warm
You're
up.
you're you're being way too hard on yourself. You are saying you're upset that you forgot about the Detroit Pistons' fourth or fifth guard, who probably will not get a second contract with that franchise. I don't think the listeners will they'll be upset that you forgot about Killian. No disrespect to Killian. I'm sure
Well,
he's a very nice person,
it
but
was about the rhythm of shooting, because even in Killian's prime, he wasn't hitting catch and shoots because he has bad rhythm. But he can pull up, he can do the pull up because he has the rhythm for pull ups. So I was trying to talk about the different types of shooting and how that affects their rhythm. And I was like, who's that Detroit Pistons backup point guard? Not Cade, obviously not Cade. Killian. And I'm like, oh God, I'm rusty. I'm so rusty.
it's we took a nice break this
I felt
summer.
so good about it.
Believe we only did like two podcasts. We did the summer league recap, and then we had Tara on in September to kind of get the how you go back into the gym after a while and put up a couple jumpers. That's kind of what that felt like. Okay, like I see a basketball court, it's a sunny day. Let's go put up some shots. And you're like, okay, a few of them went in. You still got it. And so um I was walking today with Olga. We do a long walk every Sunday, and I was like really jazzed about recording this season preview episode. It is actually year number 8 of the Holy Backboard
What?
with me and
We're
you.
old.
We started doing this on a regular basis going into that 2015-2016 season. We all remember Portland projected to win 23, 26 games. They win 40 plus. They go to the second round of the playoffs. That opening night was actually CJ McCollum's coming out party, dropped like 30 plus on your New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
You were in the gym, as was I. And I think I tweeted something like 3 beers deep. I'm ready to podcast. Let's get it. And that was my pinned tweet for like 5 years because
Years.
it just personified everything. And so I was like, wow, we've been here like 8 years.
I
This is
remember I said on this show, CJ McCollum is going to be Aaron McKee. I'm like, damn, I was so wrong on the future sixth man of, like Aaron McKee in 2001, sixth man of the year. He had a role on a contending team. I thought that was going to be CJ, and I was so wrong. And me
Well,
talking
if we
about,
want to talk about being wrong, you gave me a choice to say which Blazer not
oh
named
God,
Dame could be an all-star. And I was like, oh, Myers for sure. Like I thought he had it. He had a really good Memphis series like CJ did. I thought CJ would be good too, but I was like, I fell hook, line, and sinker for the big man who could shoot the three. So we all have our faults. No one is perfect, but it's fun to look back and see what you got right, what you got wrong, and never take it too seriously. Later on in this episode, we will actually break down the West 1 through 15. We will also say who we believe will meet in the Western Conference Finals as well as the Eastern Conference Finals, the NBA Finals, and crown a Holy Backboard preseason champion from myself as well as you. It's we'll get into that, but I definitely spent quite a bit of time, and it is difficult. I think it is a crapshoot this year, and I think that's one of the reasons I have some optimism in terms of enjoying this season. I think one thing about being a Blazer fan or an Oregon sports fan in general is you do kind of get caught up in championship or bust mentality.
mhm.
Oregon football has been almost to the top of the mountain twice. And the Blazers with Clyde and then with Rashid and Pippen, like it's so close. And so you want to witness that championship, and you kind of lose focus on why you watch sports. Like sometimes it's just to sit there for 3 hours and just enjoy that moment. And so that's what
turn the brain off and watch the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to recapture this year. It's just, did I have fun watching this game? Did they win? That's awesome. Like, let's just be happy for the night. Don't worry too much, about the future, because chances are the Blazers aren't going to win the championship anytime soon. The Ducks aren't going to win the championship anytime soon. But did I have fun watching that comeback against Washington State? Absolutely. Right. So just enjoying the game. And I think the Blazers, they did something different. And I'm excited about what that different roster is going to look like. We all knew that Neil Olshey left that cupboard pretty damn bare, both for the interim and the future in terms of assets. And there wasn't some magic formula or equation that Joe Cronin could go out there and put on a whiteboard and suddenly say, yes, this is championship material. That just wasn't realistic. But what he could do is put together a nice mix of veterans and young talent and something different than we've seen other than the past 8 years, right? Which we have the Holy Backboard era essentially. And we're going to see what shakes out. I think it's also nice that we have certain expectations. Like, I think just making the 6th seed and above would be a fantastic season for the Blazers, right? Like there's no like, fuck, this team has to get out of the second round. They have to get to the finals. Like there is no
expectations are a lot lower.
Yeah, there is no just like burden of winning. It's let's play some fun basketball. Let's do things a little bit differently. Let's try and play some defense. Let's throw some lobs. Let's get the crowd involved. Like, let's just switch it up. And that's really what I am excited about. Sage, did you do anything different this summer? I know you took quite a bit of a break away from basketball in general. How did you spend your summer? And are you looking forward to this season?
So I organized the 29th multicultural fair in Medford, and that took about all of my time, and I learned a lot about working with people that are in a different age generation than me, and the frustrations and how you have to really explain why what you're trying to tell them is important. So it was really just like a work experience of just trying to communicate with other organizers, volunteers, people that in the community, trying to raise awareness and get funds for the Medford Multicultural Fair. And it was actually probably one of the biggest successes. I was in charge of the entertainment in terms of like stage managing. And when you're an entertainer, and especially doing like a community event where your community goes to you, you expect there to be like people taking extra time. But because I was the stage manager, I ran it so tight that we had 40 minutes of time to if they want to take 5 extra, if they want to take 10 extra, it's okay. Everybody's gonna have their fair share of time. But when I was in charge, we ran a strict time, and then we ended early because we ran out of entertainers. And I'm like, you know what? That's how you're supposed to do entertainment. You're supposed to stick to that time that everybody agreed to, and we did it, and it was very successful. And I think this was the first time that I ever got a sunburn in September because it was so damn hot in Medford a week ago. But it was a very big success. I'm very happy about it, but I'm very glad to not deal with organizing a community event, because that is a lot of pressure on you, and you're not making enough money, don't have the resources you need. It's a very tough thing to do, but it's my legacy now. I've been involved in it my entire life. I've organized it for the last 4, so this is what I've been doing. So the break from basketball was pretty great because I was busy, but doing Tara's podcast yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm back in the swing of talking and thinking about basketball, because that's what we do from October to hopefully July. But sometimes March, sometimes April, like it, sometimes it's not worth talking about, really. So I'm excited about it. I have expectations that we're going to be fun. I hope that we do certain things, but you brought up something just now that I brought up on Tara's show, but I really wanted to save it for a discussion with you. You said there's not a very good chance of us winning a championship this year with this current roster, right?
Yes.
Like, so less than 1%.
I think like 5% max.
That we win a championship this year?
I mean, 5% is very low. Very low.
I did. Okay. So my question is, what is our percentage chance of Shaedon Sharpe reaches his peak? How much does that percent go up of us winning a championship if Shaedon Sharpe gets all the development he needs, has dribble moves where he can get to his own spot, he can run the offense because of his athleticism and his skill and his versatility? What is the percentage chance that we win a chip if Shaedon Sharpe is the Shaedon Sharpe that we dream about?
How long does it take him to get there?
I mean, his entire career.
I mean, again, that's basketball, team sport.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
5-on-5, and then you have to have a bench, you have to have depth, you have to have players that
Fit around
are good on the court, they're good off the court, they've got chemistry. Like, it really just depends on the roster.
Oh, totally, it does. But
I
he's
think
the number one guy.
So championship is hard to say because you need all of that. Now, could we be the Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum? Could we be the Clippers with Paul George? Could we be the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant? That type of contending team. I think if he hits, you're looking greater than a coin flip, like over 50%. Like those type of players, those archetypes, that runs the current NBA. Like you're 6'6", 6'7", can dribble, pass, shoot, defend, crazy athletic, make it happen. Like you're essentially Damian Lillard plus height plus defense, right? Like, so think of how good Damian Lillard is and what he's meant if Sharpe is able to do that and then some. Yeah, it's going to be greater than 50%. And I think if you're Portland, and one of the reasons I love the pick of Shaedon Sharpe is it felt very San Antonio Spurs like when they had David Robinson, and he had all of those great teams with Sean Elliott and Willie Anderson and Rod Strickland, and then he got injured and they ended up winning striking gold. They get Tim Duncan and they start building the Tim Duncan era back up, and obviously they win championships with Manu and Tony. But then they take this kid out of San Diego State. They trade a good piece in George Hill at the time, and they get Kawhi Leonard. And then Kawhi Leonard starts to, take that torch from Tim Duncan. So I don't know what the percent is, but what I hope is that when Dame is ready to hang it up, that there is a willing and capable and able person to take that torch from Dame. And hopefully it is Shaedon Sharpe, because like Damian Lillard said, even when the draft was happening, I was the 6th pick. Shaedon is the 7th pick. Like Portland doesn't have a lot of lottery picks. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a high pick in this organization. So you would hope that whenever it's time, like he's ready, and hopefully we start to see glimpses of that. But that's really why I love that pick, because hopefully you can start to have that lineage that San Antonio was so successful in cultivating down in the Alamo.
Yeah, because I guess championship is, it's a lot of luck. It's a lot of
it's so much. I think luck plays more than 20% in any title.
But I think that Shaedon Sharpe, if he hits that peak, is going to be like one of those transcendent wings.
Isn't that why you draft him though, right?
Yeah, well, we could have gone safe there, but we took that risk.
If you were a small market like Portland, you have to go big or go home.
Well, I think that it's any team outside of that isn't like a top 5 media market needs to do. Like Indiana absolutely could have gone Shaedon Sharpe there, and I wouldn't have blamed them at all. Like, you got to take that explosive talent. Like, we know who the 3rd pick was. I don't think that he has the ceiling that Shaedon Sharpe does at all. Like, Keegan Murray might be safer, but he ain't gonna win the Sacramento Kings a chip because he's safe. They're gonna compete for the 10th spot because he's safe. But if Shaedon Sharpe becomes that elite transcendent wing that he actually has the ability to, it's going to help our team quite a bit. So, I feel like if Justice Winslow's taking Shaedon Sharpe's minutes, I'm going to be extremely annoying on social media for a while. Like, this should be Shaedon's show. This should be Shaedon's show. What are we doing? You know what Justice is. You don't know what Shaedon is. You need to cultivate him. You need to develop him. I love him. I think his dribbling's bad. He needs to learn how to dribble and do playmaking stuff. He needs to have that. So if you're trying to make him as good as possible, you might have to take some L's or have a negative rotation when he's there because he's learning. He's 19 years old. He's learning how to play basketball at this level. But if he learns and goes from Klay Thompson dribbling to Paul George, man, we're talking about something extremely, extremely special.
So not who do you think? Who would you? If you were the coach, Dame Ant, Jeremy, Yusuf, those are your 4 starters. Who are you starting at small forward?
Is everybody cool with coming off the bench? There's no ego issues?
You're the coach. You have to manage those egos.
Just because he doesn't need the ball and can create his own with his athleticism and his desire. He can create stuff. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. I feel like Josh Hart is kind of too skilled for sitting in the corner and playing your ass off defensively. And then if you get the open shot, you take it. I think Josh Hart should probably be there in the second unit to help be that secondary playmaker. Like if it's Josh Hart, Shaedon Sharpe, and Ant, you got 3 capable ball handlers or 2 capable ball handlers and a guy that you hope is. So I would go Nasir as a starter, but there might be times where it's just like, you know what? No, I was going to say there might be matchups where Josh Hart is better, but I think that Nasir, as long as we're not depending on him to be a knockdown shooter, is going to be the better guy because the small forward position's loaded. There's not going to be that many games where it's like the small forward is just chilling in the corner. Nah, we need him to guard those Jason Tatums and those Kevin Durant's that we were talking about, and Andrew Wiggins and all those wings, and Edwards. There's a lot of those wings out there, and not that many people that have the potential to defend them. So I would go Nasir.
I might get fired, but I would start Shaedon Sharpe.
Oh my God.
Here's
God.
Why. Here's why. Nate McMillan in the summer of 2008 made a brilliant decision to start 18-year-old Nicholas Batum. He played him about 5 to 7 minutes at the start of the first and the start of the third. Now, I would give Shaedon a little bit more run in those second and fourth quarters, but we both agree. It's who finishes the game that matters. And for all of your reasons, I think Josh Hart should come off the bench as well. I think he is someone you can get him the ball and say, get us a bucket. You can get in the ball, make a play. Like he could lead that second unit in the backcourt. Nasir Little would be my 1B because he plays so well off of Damian Lillard and he does bring the energy and he does hustle his ass off. The shooting is where I would.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude. I think I like your explanation more than mine. So go off, King.
So if we truly want for Shaedon to get there, and he's working in practice, he's proving that he deserves some minutes. I'm playing him, I'm developing him. There's not going to be the burden for him to come in and be the second unit scorer or even be the first, 2 or 3 options in that first unit. He's going to play with Dame and Ant, who are going to draw a lot of attention from the defense. He's going to play with a willing passer in Yusuf Nurkic. Jeremy Grant likes to cut. So I just feel like there are a lot of movement and spacing and opportunities for Shaedon, not just to sit in the corner, but I mean, we're watching these training camp clips and he's dunking everything. And yes, I know it's clips, but it's nice to still see off-ball movement, something we saw from Nasir, especially his rookie year. He had that chemistry with Dame. Like, I would love to see what Shaedon can do just as an athlete. It's almost reminiscent of when Jerome Kersey got brought up to the Blazers and he was just drafted as an athlete. Now, I know Shaedon has the skill set, But Kersey developed that jump shot. He was a menace on the break. Like, he got the crowd involved. Like, one of the main reasons the Blazers were not good last year is they just could not protect home court. Like, and Portland just for a long time has not been an exciting team on the break. They haven't really gave the fans a reason to get up out of their seats. And defensively, it seems like they haven't been able to stop, anything. So that obviously quiets the crowd in an instant. I think, you mentioned it, I think on a couple of podcasts ago, Shaedon Sharpe could be our second best wing defender right now. So if it starts terribly, if he gets 2 quick fouls, no big deal. You've got Josh Hart, you've got Nasir Little. Like,
I love this idea. I love it. When I posted about how I think Shaedon Sharpe's great, I got ridiculed. But I didn't know that you chilling there in your home is like, oh no, I'm going to show him something. Shaedon Sharpe for starting small forward. I love it. I think it's great ideas.
That's my guy.
No, it's great. No, I agree with you. You're right. I'm wrong. So you're the one that's correct. Do you like my new Steps of Sonic T-shirt?
I was gonna say I like
the first hip hop band, man. Yeah, that just proves that I'm old as hell. But yeah, I love your idea.
Another reason that I'm excited to watch this team. Now, they may not win, they may lose, but I feel like we're going to be entertained watching this team play. And I feel like for the past couple of years, we have not been entertained watching the same show on repeat, like a really bad rerun that we've seen a million times. Like, we're going to see something different.
So I just got an idea. I think that you're talking about making the team more exciting, especially on the break, right? Do you think that there's a chance that Terry Stotts didn't do it and Chauncey Billups didn't do it because Damian Lillard struggles playing super fast like that transition game?
I don't. You know me, I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with the 90s Blazers. I watch a 90s Blazers YouTube game at least once a month, more in the off season. The reason that team was so fantastic on the break is because of their defense and their rebounding. Buck Williams grabbed every rebound, and after they got the ball, their athletes on the wings, they just booked it, and they knew the ball was coming to them. Being a fast break team isn't just like, oh, we have athletes, oh, we're going to do it here, we're going to do it there. It's a mentality. It is a mindset. And for so long, the Blazers did not have the ability to consistently get stops on the defensive end of the floor and turn, those points in the defense into offense. And we would always talk about the fast break points, like Portland's dead last in fast break points. They're not taking any chances defensively. Now, I think Terry Stotts' defensive philosophy played into that, but that's also because of the roster that he was dealt, that he decided to just be a competitive team. They had to play conservative, drop coverage, not take any chances type of defense, and just pray that you can outscore them because you have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum and at times LaMarcus Aldridge. Now I think Joe Cronin really kind of addressed that. And what I was really excited about was the addition of Gary Payton II. And it was why I was excited about Derrick Jones Jr. as well. Not just that didn't work again. And I think you need more than just one player, but I think they're starting to realize that, hey, our style of play over the past 8 years, we made one Western Conference Finals, but for the most part, we have to kind of change the way we have to take defense seriously. We have to do some things a little bit differently. We went out, they got Jeremy Grant, who's a athletic, capable defender. We don't know what we're going to get right from Damon Ant. Dame's been hampered by an oblique injury. Could that have played a role into it? Possibly. Could that have played a role in Dame wanting to slow the pace down a bit? Possibly. But Dame, to me, is a player who, we saw it with CJ. If CJ's hot, he'll let him cook. So if he sees something's working, he's going to let it roll. And so hopefully the player that I'm excited is Gary Payton II. And I really want to see him get out there and be that perimeter defender, lock some guys down, get the crowd involved, steal. I mean, he had so many highlight dunks last season with Golden State. Like every game he was either doing a reverse, a windmill, catching a lob. I also think lob passes in the half court. Like Dame has to get better with that. It can't just be Ant or Josh Hart. Like Dame has to improve there because you do have these athletes now. And that's one of the reasons Derrick Jones Jr. didn't succeed in Portland is because nobody could throw him a lob. Nobody.
Well, I think that the Terry Stotts scheme was just so. This is how you're supposed to play.
He still made. I watched him like make cut, and like you could see him just like kind of get dejected because the players just they weren't used to throwing a lob or used to looking for cutters because maybe that's what the system was. But DJ moved, and I know
I think that Neil O'Shea and Terry Stotts didn't communicate about what their scheme and ideas were, and it made DJ look foolish.
It was a mismatch in heaven.
I think that with Dame, if we don't push the pace, it's because Dame's saying, "I'm not good. Let's not do this." Because I remember in New Orleans wanting Chris Paul to push pace, and Monty Williams did it for like 10 games, and then we just saw Chris Paul get so tired doing this fast-paced thing. So if we get to pushing the pace and attacking fast breaks and then we stop, it's because Damian Lillard, it's too much. Doing that type of pace is too much on Dame. So, but I think that it makes sense with the players and athletes that we have to definitely be aggressive defensively to try and get those easy steals and momentum busting plays. But
I think there's
also be those two guards pushing.
I think there's also a difference between pushing pace and being finding your opportunities to run. And I'm more in the finding your opportunities to run camp. Like you get a steal, let's go. You get a deflection, you're going down there. Like I think you can kind of take your time after a made basket. Like we're not looking to be the 7 seconds or less Suns where you're taking the ball out of the net and you're running up and down the court. Like I don't think that's necessary to that level, but what I want to see is hands in passing lanes, taking a couple chances, blocks, and going down, throwing those lobs, just finishing at the rim, getting to the foul line, like getting easy buckets, because
we just never did that ever.
It just was not part
of
the
Dame era. I don't think we've ever been good at getting free throws because who generates it besides Dame?
Yeah, and I think Dame would benefit from playing a little bit quicker in the open court. Like who's a better shooter really than maybe Steph, right? Like Steph is so good at just like, oh, you're going to play off me on the break, I'm just going to pull up. Like that's a good look for Dame. That's something that you should want. And
Ant. Because I think his pull-up abilities
alluding to, like, you've got your $100 million man in Anthony Simons. Like, I think it's time for him to take a larger role on the team. I know Dame is going to be healthier. He is 32 years old, going to be 33 next summer, has a lot of mileage on those tires. He doesn't need to be playing 36, 38 minutes a night. Like you really have to lean on Anthony to be that player that he was last season when Dame was out. Like you invested a lot. You believe in Anthony. So lean on him. Give him a little bit more responsibilities. Like if we want Dame to last, we need to not run him into the ground. And if it costs us 2 or 3 wins, so be it. But if he's able to play, 2 or 3 more years, that
worth it.
You take that trade-off. And so that's why I'm looking for, Josh Hart to play a little bit more. Obviously Gary Payton's going to get up there. Jeremy Grant, like you're probably not going to get your 18 shots a night like you did in Detroit, but there's going to be nights where you're going to be the featured piece. Yusuf as well. Like I think you have to really lean in to this team concept. And I'm not saying Dame's not a team player. That's the opposite of it. But too many times we've been in games because it's just Dame's bailing us out. And that if that is what we're seeing early on, we can call it a wrap and just, hit the fast forward button on the season, because it's not sustainable. Like the key for this Blazer team to have success is for everyone to buy in, embrace their roles, and just take a little bit of that burden off of Dame. Doesn't have to be all of it, but he needs a lighter load.
Yes, but I think that if we're going to be good at all, Damian Lillard needs to be the alpha of the team, and the way that he bends the defense is going to be the reason that Jeremy Grant shines, or Yusuf, or Ant, or Shaedon Sharpe, who's going to start, or Nasir. It's because of how dynamic of a player Damian Lillard is that those players get those easy shots. So to be the best that we can be, we have to empower Dame and make it easiest for him. So if there's games where he can just chill, let's do that, because he's going to be carrying a big ass load of the offense this year. I mean, that's been the thing since he's been the man in Portland, is he's gonna be the one that does the breaking and bending of the defense. It's not gonna be Anthony Simons, who doesn't go into the paint much. It's not gonna be Nasir or Shaedon right now, because they're not great dribblers. Like, the reason this offense is going to be successful is because of Damian Lillard. So let's do our best to protect Damian Lillard for the long run. I feel like Blazers fans right now are really short-terming what they want from this team. Like, we have to win games. We have to emphasize winning games. I mean, is there really a difference between the 7th and the 8th seed now? No, and there isn't. If giving Dame a lighter load lets him be more productive in the playoffs, and if Shaedon Sharpe getting more playmaking role this year helps him in the future to become that transcendent star, I'm willing to take some losses in order to get that, because I think Shaedon Sharpe and his potential is worth that investment of maybe when he's in, it's a net negative because he's learning how to break down the defense and he hasn't played competitive ball in 2+ years. But I think we both agree that everybody has to take that a little extra bit of responsibility. But the person who's stirring the drink, and I believe this is a Dustin Haas quote, Damian Lillard is the person that stirs the Portland Trailblazers drink. That was from like 10 years ago.
He is. And speaking of Dame, there was an article written by Chris Haynes where he interviewed Dame, and one of the reasons that he decided to not request a trade last summer, or 2021 last summer, was he wanted, he understood how close he was in the record books to being Mr. Trailblazer, to have his name atop all of the leaderboards and the statistical categories. And just doing some rough math, he's really close, and he could achieve 2 major milestones this year. I believe he's 500 points away from passing Clyde Drexler as the all-time leading scorer in franchise history. Drexler had some really great quotes about Dame, and also mentioned if the schedule's lined up to be in attendance for that, and that would be
awesome.
That would be a nice touch, especially if it was a home game. But I also didn't realize he's only 800 assists away from Terry Porter, and so that could happen this year. It could, or it's 600 or 800. It's one of those two, but it's less than 1,000. So he has a chance to get there at the end of the season, or even at the beginning of next season. So there's going to be a lot of records that are going to fall that have stood for a long time, and that Dame could maybe put out of reach for
Shaedon.
Decades, generations, so to speak. And so it's weird. I go back and forth between thinking this is an important season and it's not as important as before. On one hand, it's really important because I think if Dame breaks the records, but the team just, maybe they're 9th or 10th, they don't even make the playoffs, they lose in the play-in, and they just don't show a lot of growth. I think the Father Time could be telling him, okay, you got your records, you're going to be remembered forever here. Let's go win somewhere else. I still think that's a possibility. On the other hand, he did sign that mega contract. He doesn't seem like someone who wants to ask out. Like, I think he's always going to be looking like, how can we improve? What can we do next? And on the other hand, maybe if you get bumped in the first round, but you showed some improvement, you liked what you saw from, Nasir and Shaedon, and, you basically got the whole crew coming back, then I could see, Dame being like, yeah, well, let's run it back. I feel healthier than ever. Like, we're going to be fantastic, just give ourselves another year. So it's an important season. But I also think there is a realism in just how deep the Western Conference is. And we will get into that in just a little bit, but it was really difficult seeding those teams because there's only a handful of teams that I could guarantee aren't going to be contenders. The rest, I mean, you could really
the people tanking for Wemby.
What's that?
The people tanking for the first pick overall.
Yeah, there's only a couple tankers out there. The rest are going to go and really try and compete this year. But Sage, I know we're spending a lot of time on Dame, but have you seen the statement jerseys the Blazers released that Dame supposedly designed?
I told Tara this looks like a jersey I can design on NBA 2K.
Thank you. Thank you. I know it's a sweet story that, Dame, art director, designed it. And all I can think about is, teams are under too much pressure by Nike and the NBA to create new jerseys when you're having to start to tell these types of stories. Like, love Dame, bless his heart. Don't quit your day job. Like, the jerseys just aren't it. Like, I
So do
saw
you
those.
hate them? Because I'm just in the meh, I don't care.
I think compared to our previous, the Blazers have one of the best home and away jerseys. Just the classic jerseys are fantastic, and they've really hit it out of the park on some of the city and some of the statement jerseys in the past. So I have a very high standard. Like, you go back to the 2020 season when they had the classic 77 red jerseys. Those were beautiful. And they also had the city edition, the cream
The
with
cream was probably my favorite.
those were fire. And so then when you see just like, oh, it's a pinwheel, and like it just kind of looked like a practice jersey. To
How
be,
do you know how many games were required to wear those jerseys?
they're gonna wear them on opening night. I know that for
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Um,
I mean, dude, it's for me, and I wear black, gray, and those are the two colors because I don't wear white because I stain it. But like it feels like something that I could easily do in 2K.
yeah, I saw the design. I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I don't love it.
I think that they were doing the Dame thing to save face for producing med jerseys.
And
Yeah, like
up in that revenue. Yeah, but it's
yeah, like
it's funny though. Like,
this is Damian Lillard. You can't hate this. Damian Lillard's a great guy. You love him. Here's this meh shitty jersey.
yeah,
I mean, they wouldn't connect the story if it was dope. They just wouldn't. They'd be like, look at what we designed, and Damian approves, obviously, but look at how dope this is. But that's not what they did. They were like, yo, your favorite player helped design it. It's a game. It's a game, and it's obviously a game, man. We've talked about this damn team for 8+ years, so we know it's a game, man. But I mean, like, I know Blazers fans and their desire and taste for aesthetically pleasing stuff. I knew that Dame wasn't going to be that Dame ain't saving them from people saying that this is meh to bad.
you've got Blazer fans who started an uproar because the radio broadcast and TV broadcast crews weren't going to travel, and all of a sudden so this is a passionate fan base. Like, even the littlest thing, like no detail goes uncovered here in Portland. It's one of the gifts and the curses of kind of being a small market franchise where this is Portland. The Trailblazers are the city, they are the state, they are the region. It's the only basketball franchise until south to Sacramento and west to probably friggin' Minneapolis or Salt Lake City. So
yeah,
it's we're out here. We are the upper left coast, all of the way out here. And Sage,
too bad Root Sports won't broadcast it to people that like streaming instead of cable, because who can afford cable these days? Anyway,
there is, so I've been contemplating, it's called like Evoca TV, and it's like $30 a month, and it's based off of an antenna, and it's a little receiver and antenna, and you get a bunch of channels. I'm thinking about testing it out.
Does Root appear
yeah
on?
there's
Okay.
yeah, you get the Thorns games, the Blazer games, the Mariner games.
Dude, I haven't watched a Mariners game in so long because of the blackout rules, and I'm
Yeah.
on MLB TV.
I picked the Blue Jays this year as my team, and I first of all, I really like baseball. I forgot how much I enjoyed the sport, so it's really the most wonderful time of the year for me. Like, just got done watching some phenomenal women's basketball in the WNBA playoffs. So happy for the Aces. Chelsea Gray is just a magician. The USA women just won the FIBA tournament, defeating China. I believe it was Saturday night down in Sydney, Australia. You obviously have postseason baseball kicking off this weekend. You have NBA preseason. if you're into the NFL starting. I like college football. College football is already like in week 4, week 5. So like this is everything. Like this is the best time of the year. So I'm incredibly happy that September and October are the calendars have shifted. Summer turns into fall, and I am ready to go. Before we go into our predictions, I do want to get to our fan questions that we have, Sage. This is from Holla at Your Boy. Between Keon, Trendon, and Jabari, which young player not named Shaedon do you expect to show the most NBA? Do you expect to show the most glimpses of NBA star potential this year?
I don't think any of them have star potential.
You have to pick one, Sage.
But
that's the question.
I think star is too high of a height for those three. But good player, sure. I think that I have faith that Keon. I think Keon has improved a lot, but I would probably go with Jabari Walker showing the most as like a. I think Jabari has the best chance of being a good player out of those three, but I don't think that Jabari Walker will ever be a star. I think he'll be a good player, but star potential. But there's not that many stars, so I don't think those three players have star potential. But if Jabari Walker has the best chance of being a good NBA player,
I have levels to my answer. Keon Johnson is the best player of the bunch, but because of Portland's guards depth, he's not going to get a chance to show it this year for this team. I think Jabari Walker, long term, is probably the best role player of the bunch. I just think he's going to be solid. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get this year. Portland
is he our fifth big?
I don't. Maybe, but the player I'm picking for this, I think Trendon Watford is the one who's going to show the most this year because Portland has 0 height. It's Nurk and that's it. So if Watford can beat out Drew Eubanks, he's the backup center. And he just is coming off of winning Summer League MVP. He's going to get an opportunity. That's the reason for my answer. It's like this year it's Trendon. Long term, I think it's Jabari, but I still think the best basketball player of the bunch is Keon Johnson. I think, unfortunately for him, I think this is a bad situation for him to be in because what Portland has already exists.
Yeah.
So I think he could be a mini Gary Payton II.
Yeah, I think that Gary Payton II is the most, like, if we're talking about top end Keon Johnson outcome, Bruce Brown Mittens. It's one of those two. They're the same archetype, but I think Keon Johnson has something that Gary Payton struggles with, and that's dribbling. I think that Keon Johnson has the ability to be a playmaker because he sure as hell did it in Tennessee with that god awful spacing. So I've seen him do it. I've seen him be that. I'm driving to the hoop. If somebody helps, the ball's going there, and I'm not getting an assist because my teammates suck, but I'm gonna pass it. So yeah, I think Keon is the best player now. I think Jabari could be the best player later. I have a love-hate with Trendon with watching him at LSU.
I get it.
He ain't my flavor.
He just played really well in the summer. I was really impressed.
But there were games where you were talking to me about how not good he was.
Yeah, he got it. He put it together at the end. I give him there's time, but also he's not gonna have free reign to try and take.
Oh, absolutely, he's reined back.
Yeah, so you gotta reel him back in. But when I saw,
will he be good reined back in? That's the question I have.
Yes, yeah, you're gonna be in the league or you're not gonna be in the league. Not everybody gets the rock. Like you have to be able to, when you get the rock,
he's the 10th option on the team. Or 8th, I don't know.
Question from Pete _normal on Twitter. Even our GM believes this team is not ready to contend for a championship. What conceivably available player or players do you think could get us to that tier? And who are you willing to give up to get them?
Availability is the key on this one. Because right now there isn't a dearth of upset superstars. Kevin Durant,
you got to wait a couple of. I think he also is like the question is like at the deadline, like who are you going after, or in the off season?
Will we have money to offer him? I mean, I know
No,
that
we
this
have
is
no
part
money.
of it.
No,
Yeah.
no, I think we
This is our team.
This is Neil Olshey made us. This is our team. If you make the playoffs, you're losing that draft pick to Chicago.
But then we have it, right? If we make
but then you have it, but you don't want to do a Billy King and just give up your
no,
whole
no, no,
franchise.
no, no. But we would have it in 2 years, right? If we get if it
2025 is technically so if we give it up, 2025 is the earliest pick we could trade. We have to make that pick in.
Oh, I'm not talking about trading, buddy boy. I'm talking about drafting. I'm not trying to trade first round draft capital like it's nothing.
I think it's through 2028 if we don't make the playoffs.
But if we make the playoffs, then it's
gone.
ours free.
And we have ours forever.
Until we do something dumb.
We do something dumb.
God damn it, Robert Covington. Oh,
Larry Nance.
I did so much more work for Robert Covington. That's why. But to answer his question, I don't think that person's available. I think that if we had the assets, it would probably be a wing player. But, you know, it all depends on how things shake out in the year to target someone. But I think that our best chance of getting a superstar is developing our young wings and guards in Ant, Nasir, and the Shaedon Sharpe.
Yeah, that's the answer. I don't know if anybody's going to like that answer, but that is the answer. The answer is internal development. It has to be that. You have to get that develop. You have to get that boost from Ant that he can go all-star tier. You got to get that boost from Nasir that he can be starter tier.
And stay healthy.
Yeah, and you got to get that boost from Shaedon that he shows that superstar potential. Like you have to have assets to be able to go out there and get somebody who's ready to play right now. Like if you're another GM, you'd be like, well, Nasir keeps getting hurt. And obviously you're not trading Anthony. Obviously, you're probably not going to be trading Shaedon Sharpe. I mean, why would you just tank a season and then just say, no, we're going to move you? Like Kevin Durant's not on the market. Jason Tatum's not on the market. Like you have to wait and see. So like this goes back to
would you move Shaedon Sharpe for Pascal Siakam?
No.
Okay.
No, Pascal doesn't move the needle. Now, does Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant? Yes.
Yeah.
They move the needle. So like we had
but those guys are probably worth 8 first-round picks that we don't have access to.
You know, we talked about this in the summer when during the draft, like when they were talking about like OG Anunoby, and I was like, OG Anunoby right now is the difference between maybe like the 7th seed and the 5th seed. Like it's not worth the price to pay to move up.
And he gets hurt often too. So we might be rocking with Rondae Hollis-Jefferson at the 3 while OG is recovering from whatever ails him.
So Portland is banking on. I also think this can't be a 1-year thing. We can't panic and say Dame's 32. We have to do everything to just like win now. Like
that's a bad philosophy.
You have to believe, obviously, the organization does to some extent, that Damian Lillard has 5 more prime years left in him. 4 to 5. You give him all that money. There has to be a belief that he's got that much left in the tank. You don't need to go out and just blow everything in year 1. What you want to see now is gradual progress. You want to see, how does Jeremy Grant fit in with this roster? Does Yusuf Nurkic have another tier? Can he go to all-star tier? Can he just be consistent? Can he be that beast he was in the bubble? Josh Hart is a fabulous player. How does he accept his role? How does he fit in with this team? How does GP2 fit in with this team, right? Like
Nasir Little's a lot more tradable if he plays 82 games at a high level.
You have Jabari Walker, who you kind of stole in that draft. Can he become a valuable role player off of the bench? Like
that's found if Jabari Walker becomes what we expect him to become, that's found gold that we're not really even thinking of. If a guy getting paid, what was his pick? 50th, 58th?
The teams got their picks removed from him. He was the second to last pick in the draft.
Yeah, so like he was a 56th, right?
56 and 57.
Yeah. So he's not getting paid a lot. He's getting paid the second lowest. If he becomes a $7 million player, we're paying him pennies for the service that he provides us. So I think eternal development is where we find that star. The cupboard is super bare. Like teams like New Orleans and teams like Oklahoma City and San Antonio, or like teams that are trying to improve. San Antonio shouldn't be on that list, but they can overpay on draft picks because they have a large supply. We
You
don't
also
have that ability to do so because we are so poor.
you also have to look at it. Do you want to pay that? Like NBA trade assets are, I think, suffering at the expense of inflation, just like we are at the gas pump right now, right? The price is high. Did you see what it cost to get Donovan? Did you see what it cost to get Rudy Gobert, DeJounte Murray? You don't want to be paying top of the market prices like we did with Robert Covington. So you have to just wait for the price to come down for a bit too. So
and we have to have the assets in order to make the. We aren't beating anybody's Godfather offer. Nobody, like, if OKC says screw it, we're done tanking, is anybody beating their Godfather offer? Nah. If New Orleans says, you know what, Zion, CJ, Brandon Ingram made enough, let's get us a superstar to go with them, we ain't beating that offer. So it's tough
that's
to
why my
improve the team
philosophy is
that's.
just enjoy each game. Like
Yeah.
it's this is the roster. Like hopefully it's fun. Like just have fun. That is the goal. Like I know that sounds cheesy and just maybe not what people want to hear, but I think after the past couple years, like let's have some fun. Okay. Like 2020 was a nightmare, especially outside of basketball, but on the court, clearly injuries just ruined that post Western Conference Finals run. 2021, the team just did not gel. The roster was not what we thought it was and couldn't even beat a depleted Denver Nuggets team in the first round. And then 2022, it was a carbon copy except for injuries took over and it was a tank fest. It was a dumpster fire for the second half of the season. Like I don't know about you, Sage. I just want to watch some fun basketball.
I would like to watch Blazers basketball where I'm not incentivized to play 2K while I watch Blazers basketball because the Blazers basketball is poo-poo. I mean, like, I don't want to watch Brandon Williams ever play basketball again.
No offense, but yeah, we don't want to be watching Keldon Blevins. Like,
yeah, like I don't expect us to. I think the tanking experiment is done now, and we're gonna play some competitive. I want to see us play with heart because I don't think we played with heart for a very long time. Do we have any more questions?
Predictions? Nope.
Oh, all right. We're going 15-1.
15-1.
All right.
15-1 Western Conference. I will let you do us the honors. Who do you think will be bringing up that rear, dragging that wagon in the West?
So I feel like the Spurs are the worst team because they only have one point guard and
they have no adults.
They have no adults.
This is how many adults they have.
Popovich is really, really, really transcendently good.
Do you forget how bad he was okay with being for that Duncan draft?
Sure.
David Robinson went out. They won like 17 games, bro. Not even the Juan Dixon, Steve Blake, Sergey Manya, Victor Kriapa Trailblazers won 17 games. They at least
I guess Pop might be with Pop. I mean, they had to let Pop know, hey, we're gonna trade your superstar. I can't put them at 15. So I put the Houston Rockets. But here's what I was looking at after I did my list, I put Vegas totals. So Vegas totals has the Rockets at 23.5 games, 23.5 games won. Do you think that is an appropriate amount of games? Would you go high, low, or is that just perfect?
How many did they win last year?
Well, very good question.
Like when you get in the low 20, that is you have to be like not only bad but wanting to be bad. Like you have to just be absolute just hot garb.
Yeah, they were pretty hot garb last year.
Still found a way to beat the Blazers, which was thank you, Houston.
I'm looking at Wikipedia for their win loss.
Why don't you just go to NBA.com and look at last year's standings?
Because Wikipedia, they were 20-62, so there would be a 5-game improvement.
I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on the Houston Rockets, so
But
I'll
would
just
you
say
go high
push.
or low?
Push.
Okay. And I got these from DraftKings Sportsbook, and they're really difficult for any edge. So, who is your 15th ranked team?
I think earlier I said there's 4 teams that will not make the playoffs. I think there's almost 100% chance that 4 of these teams will not make the
Yeah, the
playoffs.
the tanking tier.
So it doesn't really matter where I have them ranked.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to kind of just run through them pretty quickly, but I put the Spurs at 15 just because they traded DeJounte and they don't really have much to show for it. Like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, like at least the Houston Rockets have a guy like Jalen Green,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Porter Jr. that could maybe carry them to a couple of wins, and they also have Jabari Smith. So like they're trying to build a little bit. I don't know if they're going to fully just tank
I
like they
think the
did.
bottom 4, it wouldn't surprise me in
Yeah,
any way.
it's interchangeable, but
Yeah.
I have the Spurs. I mean, Trey Jones as you're starting.
Yeah, it's real bad.
That's really, really bad. They're clearly trying to do something different in San Antonio, hitting the reset button. I have them 15. Who do you have at 14?
And Vegas has them at 23.5 wins as well. So I have the Spurs at 14.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally fair.
They're going to
14.
suck. They're going to be garbage water. Even though Devin Vassell is a future superstar, they're going to be hot garbage.
Whoa, super. I would take out of that description.
I like Devin Vassell. I think he's a good player, but he misses
Good
far
and
too much on
superstar.
Duke.
That is a gap larger than the Grand
He
Canyon.
was my number 3 guy in the draft that we did an exhaustive amount of research on.
Number 14, I have the Utah Jazz. I almost put them 15. They may have more talent on paper than the San Antonio Spurs, but I have a feeling that culture is going to be garbage. I think it's a little bit, what Danny Ainge wants to do there. They want to just completely blow it up. They've already gotten rid of Bogdanovich. They got rid of Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Royce O'Neal. I mean, it's only a matter of time before Jordan Clarkson gets moved. Mike Conley Jr. gets moved. Like, I envision there's going to be games where Clarkson probably shoots the ball like 30 or 35 times. Like
him and Colin Sexton are going to be the best, worst combo guard pairing ever, where they can be hot as hell one day and then miss the easiest pass ever.
I forgot they got Colin Sexton. Yeah, that's going to be just like
poor Ochai Baji.
It's just a weird mixed match. Lowry Markkanen's on that team. I mean, Walker Kessler. I mean, talk about at least the Spurs. I'm almost talking myself into flip-flopping them, but I already have it written down in my
I have it written down, but yeah, like we're doing an excellent job of convincing ourselves that these teams are.
Yeah, the Jazz, they're going to be just discombobulated is how I would describe them. Who do you have at 13?
I have the Jazz.
Yeah. It's
they're bad. I think that Colin Sexton, if you're into yearly or daily fantasy, he could be explosively good in a late round pair. All he's going to do is score. His vision is almost as bad as Ant's.
At 13, I have the Houston Rockets. Hopefully they're actually ready to play basketball. I mean,
I still believe in Steven Silas to be.
Yeah, they kind of did John Wall dirty there just by not letting him play at all. Even he's like, I just want to play basketball, guys. And they're like, no, you're going to be too good. Like kind of like we did for Eric Bledsoe, but they did that to John Wall for an entire season.
Eric, you're going to be too good, bro. Please don't play.
Yeah, please don't play. I like what they're doing in Houston. I like Şengün. They got rid of Christian Wood. They went out and obviously they drafted.
They killed the draft.
Yeah, they got Jabari Smith and Tari Eason, and they got Ty Washington. Like they're going to be bad, but they're going to be young. They're going to be fun. I think you're going to want to tune in to watch them play.
They're a good league pass team.
I think this is the season to see like Jalen Green. Are you able to put the team on your back in stretches and get a couple of wins, or are you just going to be kind of like a highlight reel, fun player to watch? Like where is Jalen Green going? Like what direction is he going to lean towards? That's what I'll be looking forward when I'm thinking of the Houston Rockets.
Okay, off topic, but this is what we do. I remember I asked, would you rather have Cole Anthony or Jalen Green? Who would you rather have to start your franchise with?
I think Jalen Green has more star potential.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right,
but I think Cole Anthony's great. I have Oklahoma City at 12.
I do too.
Well, it was going to be in those 4 slots. Eventually, we were going to pick someone that's the same.
I just really like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey. For Shea's sake, I hope they just actually let him play basketball and stop shutting him down after the All-Star break every single season. I think that's disgraceful to do that every single year.
And they have Trey Mann, who's also a good point guard. They have some good players. It's just they haven't been
They
good as
drafted both
professionals.
Jalen Williamses.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Chet Holmgren is out for the year. That would have been fun to watch him play in the limited action we got. He showed why he was the number 2 pick, but
still
clearly,
so much time for him to be that superstar that I know he can be. So.
Yeah, that's a tough injury to be dealt with. Either he can come back like Joel Embiid, or he could come back like Greg Oden. Like you just don't know whether those injuries are going to linger. So that's a bit of a bummer for that franchise. But now we kind of get into the teams that I think have a legitimate chance at 1 through 11, could make the playoffs, could be almost separated by, if we're talking about certain teams, just the variance for these 11 teams is off of the charts. But who do you have at 11?
I have the Sacramento Kings, who are projected for a 33-win season. I think that they're obviously the worst of the play-in type teams. Sabonis at the center is going to give you a set of problems that I don't think it's possible to fix unless you have Miles Turner. Like, I don't know how that you can play off him and his deficiencies as the center and as a defender. I think that the Sacramento Kings are going to run a really fast pace, be a fun offensive team, but they're going to be like the Blazers, where they just allow points in every single possession because it's free. It's free to the rim. You can just take all the paint points that you want with Sabonis at center.
So after the Seattle Mariners clinched a wild card berth on a pinch hit walk-off home run on Friday night, the Sacramento Kings are now in the hot seat for the longest active playoff drought over the 4 major sports. The Mariners had been in there since 2001. The Kings have not made the playoffs since 2006.
Wait, is that the Mariner is that the Ichiro year, the last year that when he was a rookie?
Well, Ichiro was on that team. I think it was Ichiro's second or third year.
Yeah, it was a very young Ichiro.
Yeah.
And then a lot of shitty years.
It was a long time ago. So what I'm saying is, I really hope the Kings make the playoffs, and I wanted to put them in the top 10. I just don't, unless significant injuries happen to a couple of teams, I don't see it happening. I do like what they did this offseason. I think Keegan Murray is going to be good for them. He showed the type of player he is capable of by winning Summer League MVP. You also have the addition of Kevin Huerter. They still have Harrison Barnes. Like, that they have Fox, Davion Mitchell can bring in there that perimeter defense. Like, they have a good team. They're starting to go in the right direction. I look at the top 10 and I can't put them in there quite yet.
It's tough. I agree with the 33 win Vegas total. Like, they are better than those 4 shitters, but they are not competing with some of those teams in the West.
See, I think they're going to win more than 33.
So you would go the over on that one? I would too, but
I think it's going to be like, I think it was 2007, 2008 when it took almost 50 wins just to make this, back when it was the top 8 to make the playoffs. Like, you had to win a lot to get in the Western Conference playoffs. Portland was a surprise team and went 41-41 and missed the playoffs by a few spots. So I think you're going to have to sniff 500 to make even the top 10. But now that we are talking about the top 10, who do you have at number 10 this year, Sage?
So this is where I disagree with the Vegas totals a lot. I have the Minnesota Timberwolves because I truly don't know how Rudy Gobert and Cat are going to work as the 4-5, and you gave up a lot of assets to get Rudy Gobert, and I'm not sure about the fit, so I put them at 10. But Vegas seems to love them at 48.5 wins. So maybe I'm just wrong here, but I just don't understand the fit. Like, you have D'Lo, you have Ant, you have, I don't know who the 3 is going to be, but that pairing of 4 and 5 is just so weird where, like, I just don't know if it's going to work. So that's why I put them at 10.
When I get to the Timberwolves, I have similar thoughts as well. At 10, I have the Dallas Mavericks.
Ooh.
I feel like the Mavericks are a team that really took a step backwards this offseason when they really needed to go forward. After making the conference finals, that historic game 7, taking down the mighty Phoenix Suns, Luka becoming basically the next face of the NBA. And you add Christian Wood, which I like. They only gave up a
Bad
first
defender
round.
though.
I still think he's going to be marvelous with Luka is going
Offensively,
to make
he's going to
everyone
be
better.
fucking awesome. Yeah.
Losing their second best player in Jalen Brunson for absolutely nothing, not doing any other additions. Yes, you do get Tim Hardaway Jr. back. I have a feeling Luka is on that same early Cleveland Cavaliers path as LeBron James, where he's just not going to have any help. And I just don't think he's as good of a defender as LeBron. Like he's up there offensively, playmaking.
Do you
as a
think
young
Spencer
LeBron.
Dinwiddie's gonna provide a lot of what Brunson's gonna do?
But the problem was they were so good together.
Yeah, I know.
That whole 3. So it's not enough. Like I think they're going to
I think
take
they had to rely on Josh Green to be a good basketball player, and I don't know.
If you're relying on Josh Green, I like my number 10 pick for the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, I just don't know defensively where they're going to get their stops. You can't let Luka dribble the ball into oblivion, which has caused a rift between his teammates in the past. Losing Jalen Brunson, I think, was a massive blow for the Mavericks, who had so much momentum, and I think they just kind of ran into a brick wall right there. Who do you have at number 9?
The Portland Trailblazers. I have questions. I feel like if we run a sim of the Blazers season, I think 9 is going to be a very popular spot that we land in. There's a lot of good teams in the league, man. And I think that we haven't addressed the spacing issue. So I think that that's going to be a thing that haunts us the entire year. We're going to, as of right this second, we're going to make Damian Lillard's life harder than those other superstars in the league. Like Trae Young gets supported so much better than Damian Lillard has in his entire career of making his life easier. So this is just another year of, we have talented players, yes. Do they fit with Damian? I'm not convinced of that. And the Vegas have the Blazers at 39.5 wins. So what do you think of that win total? You're muted.
I would take the over.
Okay. I would too.
And you're not wrong. I had a really hard time placing the Trailblazers as well. Really 6 through 10, what was difficult for me. I feel like their team, the West, is kind of in tears a little bit. But the team I have at number 9, maybe outside of the Blazers, or even including Blazers, has the highest variance of where I could see them landing. And it's the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh, I agree with you. Honestly, I had 14 teams for the longest time on my list. I was like, who the fuck is the 15th team that? Oh, it's the LA Lakers. I forgot where I should put them. I forgot they existed.
If you're playing 2K, yeah, the Lakers are going to be good. What? It's not 2K. It's real life. It's an 82 game grind. Yes,
real personalities exist in real life. You still
have LeBron James, but LeBron James is turning 38 years old in like 2 months.
Anthony Davis has never been a healthy participant.
Anthony Davis, I don't think, is capable of carrying a franchise. This 3-point guard deal they're doing with Schroeder, Pat Bev, Russell Westbrook, like
that's just a whole bunch of mid. And I hate saying that Russell Westbrook is mid, but in this point of his career, he's mid. I mean, Russell Westbrook has made me money for years. I love Russell Westbrook. But on this team with this lack of shooter, like who's shooting the ball well on this team?
And that's where I say the variance pops up, because I think if the Lakers were smart and they would move a couple of picks, you still have LeBron and AD. Like that's why. If you could go out,
well, they don't have picks because they traded them all for.
They could trade the 27 and 29 picks, and they were in talks with Indiana. Like, get yourself a Buddy Hield, get yourself a Miles Turner. Now you've got yourself a fucking squad that I think is probably the best team in the West. So they're very close to being upper echelon, but as it's currently constructed,
on October 2nd.
I don't like this team. I don't like how they are constructed. I don't like the spacing, the lack of shooting. I still think LeBron's going to have to do everything. Like, they have lost a lot from that championship team. Whether you're talking about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, like they 2 years of LeBron, like Anthony Davis played the best he's ever played, and now he just has completely regressed.
Well, the degenerative Achilles injuries, like, it's not being talked about enough.
Yeah,
but I think Darvin Ham's a legitimately good coach. Did you? I was on TikTok and somehow a Lakers TikTok appeared on my feed. Guess what his favorite album of all time is?
Reasonable Doubt.
Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim.
All right, okay.
So I believe in Darvin Ham because of that, and I didn't want the Blazers to get Darvin because he's going to use the strategies that work. He's not going to be creative and build the scheme out with players at hand. He's just going to use what's out there that works and use it. Charles Lee would have made things so much better. But
who do you have at number 8?
The New Orleans Pelicans.
Okay.
I think that
that's going to be our biggest disagreement.
I don't know how it's going to work with Zion, BI, and CJ. Like,
beautifully.
Maybe it could be.
It's gonna be you were in for some gorgeous basketball this year. That's all I will say. That's all I will say.
I worry about our spacing because who shoots threes besides CJ? So it's good.
There are different ways to win in the NBA if you have the right players, though. That's all.
I have never seen it. I'm putting us a date. It's fun.
Okay.
I'm going to watch as many games as I possibly can. I think it's going to be fun basketball, but I think that I might be bitching about spacing.
Okay. At the 8th spot, I think this team is in line for a letdown this year. Think of it maybe the Blazers post-Western Conference Finals, teams that have kind of maybe made surprise runs in the past, Utah with Deron Williams and Boozer, the Memphis Grizzlies. I have at number 8. They won last year with Ja Morant injured quite a bit, but that's because they had Tyus Jones and they still played really strong defense. They surprised a lot of folks.
Isn't Jaren's hurt?
They are really going to miss Jaren Jackson Jr., who was out for at least the first 2 months of the season.
That just means Xavier Tillman's gonna rock the spot.
Yeah, that's not what the Grizzlies are looking to do at all. They gave Steven Adams just a big extension, and
a big old extension.
If you watch the playoffs against Golden State, he wasn't even starting.
It was Brandon, right?
Yeah, or Tillman. Like they completely played Steven Adams out of the playoffs, and so
I think he's a regular season guy.
He's a regular season guy. I really do. I love the Memphis Grizzlies. I love watching them play. I think they're a few grown-ups away from really contending. I love the backcourt of Ja Morant and Desmond Bane. I like Zaire Williams.
I hope he takes my namesake's spot.
I think I like Dillon Brooks. He gives them that attitude, which what they play on, but I don't know if he's willing to accept a lesser role.
Bro, did you see how he played basketball with Ja Morant on the goddamn court? He thinks he is the best player on the team, which is a great mentality to have. But he takes shots away from Ja Morant and all of those good ass players because he thinks he's that good. So I think there's a double-edged sword with Dillon Brooks where he's got the mentality, but he also has the mentality that can shoot them out of games.
Yeah, I really wonder about their interior defense and their ability to switch,
especially without JJ.
Yeah, I think they're going to get exposed on the defensive end. I think it's going to be an uphill climb. They're going to start up. I think they'll start off slow.
Do you think that Jaren Jackson Jr. can be that center? Because I think that he has some issues dealing with legitimate size. That's why they paid Steven Adams all that money. But I think when they're competing, it's Triple J being the center.
I don't think him at center was the reason they didn't beat the Warriors. Like they needed just another wing. They needed
totally.
Yeah.
I think that there's issue. Like
I mean, he's first team
got,
all defense.
He's got the Jabari Smith syndrome where he's a little too small to be the 5, and All right, so what number are we on next?
7.
I have the LA Lakers.
Okay.
It's really hard to say LeBron James doesn't make the playoffs, but we've seen it a few times this year in the last few years. So it's like the evidence says that they're not, but it's so hard to count LeBron, AD, and what's left of Russell Westbrook out. So put him at 7. I mean, I forgot that they existed on my board. They were my last place team. So like the last team that I placed, not my last. Yeah, but so I don't know, 7.
Again, I'm making a change here right on the fly. I haven't got to it, so I am going to change it. 7. I'm gonna go Minnesota. Had them at 6. Really hard team to place. I absolutely hate how much they gave up.
Vegas has them at 6 or 7. So
yeah, I really dislike how much they gave up for Rudy Gobert. He is a regular season guy. He will improve their defense. I think that team is just going to get exposed in the postseason. I know we're talking about regular season and where teams land, but I think D'Angelo Russell's the wrong point guard for that team.
He's going to take usage away from Ant.
Yeah, is Rudy Gobert are you gonna run offense for Rudy Gobert?
How is Karl Anthony Towns going to guard those fleet-footed 4s that are in the league? Like I could imagine Jeremy Grant dropping 25 on him. It's just going to be get the edge and fucking attack. And then
if Minnesota is not able to punish teams by going inside, it's going to be lights out. We know Towns wants to stretch the floor, shooting the 3. And we know Rudy Gobert traditionally has not been able to take advantage of post-ups against smaller defenders. So why not just go small, spread them out, and just attack?
Mm-hmm. I feel like a smaller athletic 4 would make Cat incredibly frustrated.
Yeah, I
remember Lamar, like a Lamar Odom build would fucking destroy Cat because of the length and the athleticism. Like I remember Lamar Odom would annoy the absolute shit out of David West. I feel like Cat has those issues in his game where he doesn't move as well as you really think he does. Like NBA 2K would have you think that he moved really well. I don't think he particularly moves well for a 5, let alone a 4.
And then I think they lost a lot of intangibles. Jared Vanderbilt did a lot of dirty work for them, and Pat Bev was their
Who's their starting 3?
Jaden McDaniels. Yeah.
That doesn't sound sexy.
No. So the reason I have them at 7 ahead of Memphis, Jaren Jackson Jr. We obviously don't know what the Lakers are going to do quite yet, but I think they'll be good enough. I think they're going to be energized. I think Rudy Gobert gives them at least a jolt. I just don't know if that's going to be enough. Who do you have at 6?
I have the Dallas Mavericks with 48.5 wins projected. I mean, like we talked about Luka. I think that he's a generational talent. You can't really keep generational talents that are that big, that strong, and know themselves that well out of the playoffs. So I think that there's a chance that anyone from 9 to 4 can finish anywhere. But I have faith in Luka to be that all-world basketball player. So I have them at 6, and Vegas loves them. I think Luka's amazing, so I feel good about that one.
If I'm an opposing coach, I basically double Luka the entire game. I just say if you're going to lose some nights with Tim Hardaway Jr. getting hot or Spencer Dinwiddie, but like I don't let Luka dictate how the game is played.
Are you box and wanting him the entire
box game? And one, you're basically doing what the New Orleans Pelicans did to Dame, but even higher. Like you're doubling him at half court and you're taking him completely out of the offense because I don't think they have another player.
They don't have a CJ to help him out.
No. At 6, I've got the Trailblazers. It's interesting because, and it's kind of tying back to the podcast started in 2015. I was actually really excited about that season. I was, really looking forward to not watching LaMarcus Aldridge take a bunch of turnarounds. And I know he left, but I was like, I want to see Dame lead this team. I think they're going to be scrappy. I think they're going to be gritty. And, I was excited what CJ brought after that Memphis series. and we brought in some good pieces, and I was like, okay, like let's see what I was really excited, and they completely blew the expectations out of the water. Like, I think the expectations are a little low right now in Portland. Like, I think people kind of forgot that Damian Lillard can ball. Like, and he's fully healthy, and like he's one of those players, like he just kind of sits there and listens and takes it in, and he's just like, just wait until I get on the court and then I will do my talking. Like, you see some of these player ranks and you see some guys ahead of him, like I don't think Dame's the best player in the league, but I think he's better than some of the dudes that are being ranked ahead of him. Just like, I know he had a down year, but I think he is going to be that straw
We
that
didn't see
stirs.
Damian Lillard play one time last year, bro. He was
He had
not
he had
Damian.
like one game against the Clips when he had like 40, but that was it.
That one game out of however many he played, it like Damian Lillard took an off year last year. Like, remember when Steph did it? Like that could be what it is for Dame. Like, you shouldn't use last year as a measuring
Barometer.
stick for what he can and cannot do on the basketball court.
Like, you talk about Luka being able to kind of propel teams. Healthy Damian Lillard gets the Blazers into the playoffs every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy Damian Lillard has them fighting for home court advantage every single year. Um, I just like some of the players that they have added. I like Josh Hart quite a bit. I'm interested to see how they work with Jeremy Grant. Just a respectable power forward, which Portland just hasn't had for the longest time. We've either had to deal with Robert Covington, who almost refused to shoot the basketball, or Alfred Minu, who was basically begged by the opposition to shoot the basketball
Chill,
during
bro,
some
chill.
times.
But
So
Tara loves him, so
he was fantastic for us, but Jeremy Grant's the best power forward we've had since LaMarcus
yeah.
Aldridge. So, I'm interested to see, like, obviously a lot hinges on health. Like, Nurk has to stay healthy, and a lot hinges on his performance as well. But like, I'm really excited to see Nasir Little. I think this is going to be his breakthrough year. Knock on wood that he stays healthy. And then I want to see Gary Payton the second get out there. Like, I loved what he did for Golden State. He can play 1 through 5. If Golden State can make it work with 2 non-shooters on the floor, the blueprint's there. The Portland coaching staff needs to make it work too. Like,
But Gary hit from corner threes,
yeah,
so it wasn't like he was a Draymond. You just let shoot. But if
yeah.
Gary Payton was chilling in the corner, I had faith that when Gary Payton was good, Gary Payton hit that corner three at a good
And
enough
if
rate.
Portland ends number 6, like, I think that's a huge
That's such a Dubsky.
So that's who I have at 6. Who do you have at 5?
I have the Memphis Grizzlies, but I didn't really think about the Jaren Jackson injury being such a negative for him.
He was first team all defense.
He's a humongous part of that team.
I think he was the blocks leader too.
He's probably the fouls leader per minute too, but he's a great player. And even though I love Xavier Tillman and I drive the Xavier Tillman fan bus, going from Jaren Jackson Jr. to Xavier or Brandon Clark, huge downgrade. So if I wasn't really on my NBA stuff when I wrote this 4 days ago. I am now. I don't feel great about the 4 seed, but I have it written down, or the 5 seed. So I have it written down, and it was written like Nas said. Boom.
So if we were doing this, I had these predictions written out quite a bit ago, and this team I had number 1. I dropped them down to 5. The vibes are bad. Phoenix Suns.
Okay. No, totally understandable.
You've got DeAndre Ayton, who said he hasn't spoken to Monty Williams since Game 7. You had DeAndre Ayton, who was in countless trade rumors. Were they getting Kevin Durant? Were they not getting Kevin Durant? You've got Jay Crowder, who was a big part of their finals run and NBA regular season record leading team, basically saying, I'm out. Like, there's rumors that said they were going to start Cam Johnson. He's like, nope, I want to start. And now he is holding out the two sides have said, you can, don't report to training camp. We'll find you another spot. I mean, Jay Crowder is a heart and soul type of basketball player. Like, Marquette just breeds those players. Like, look no further than Jimmy Butler and Wesley Matthews. And you've got another year of Chris Paul getting up there. And you also have all of these, Robert Sarver reports.
It's total bad vibes. Yeah.
And then you have sponsors saying, I'm out unless Robert Sarver resigns. And it's just everything in Phoenix just feels like their window just shut. Like, they had that two-year opening, and it's it's gone, and they don't really have the assets to go out and get who they
But they
want.
need. Yeah.
And I think it's a team that's kind of cursed. You know, when you're a really good team, but you just can't quite get over the hump, like you kind of start to get annoyed with some players, or you just
Mhm.
it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Like they just can't quite get there. And you saw it with the James Harden Rockets. You know, you've seen it with a few teams in the past, and they just break up. I think this is the last year of Phoenix being in contention. I don't know how much Chris Paul honestly has left in the tank. I mean, you've just seen it time and time again. Like it's unfortunate because I do like that core they have, but their management really. And then you have James Jones saying he doesn't really even give a shit about the draft, which is just stupendously
Insane.
stupid.
Devin Booker was a low
Late lottery pick.
late lottery pick. Like, come on, bro. You
Yeah.
built your team through savvy drafting.
And so I feel like their window shut. They missed out an opportunity to draft Tyrese Halliburton, who would have been a perfect successor to Chris Paul. They didn't offer Jalen Smith the tender, so they lost him for absolutely nothing. They haven't brought anybody. It's the same core, and it's not good enough. Luka wrecked them. One person wrecked him. I have never seen a team play that shitty in an elimination game.
It was
On the line. It was one of the worst all-time performances. I just don't know how you rebound from that after you blew a 2-0 lead against the Bucks the year prior in the finals. Like that is a lot to come back from. Speaking as a Blazer fan, I know that 91 heartbreak to the Lakers, it took a lot out of them. Yeah, they made it back to the finals in 92, but that's all they had left. Like it takes so much out of you to make these runs. And I think the Cinderella, time's kind of running out on Phoenix. So I have them at 5, especially after the media day vibes.
I have them at 4. I mean you're gonna see in my predictions that if you don't have good vibes in the locker room, you're not gonna make it to the ultimate goal. So that's why I don't have Celtics or Brooklyn making it to the finals. So yeah, I like all the things that you said. There's a lot of benefits to having the Suns team. They're well coached. They have great players. Chris Paul's provided me the most joy out of any player I've ever watched play basketball. But he's getting up there. He's a small guard in a league that just absolutely abuses small guards now. That is he's getting targeted by teams now on defense, and I never thought that would happen. The vibes are bad. It would not surprise me if they were higher than 4, but it wouldn't surprise me if they regressed worse than 4.
At 4, I have the Golden State Warriors.
Is it because they don't give a shit about regular season?
That's one of the reasons. Yeah, I think they definitely are. I think they're a top 3 team in the West, but I think they're definitely going to pace Steph. They're going to pace Clay. They obviously pace Draymond Green. And again, they're not the Warriors of the middle part of the decade. Like I think they had a really great rebound year, but they lost some pieces. Gary Payton II was one of them, and I don't, it's like I said, it's really hard to repeat. So now you've got teams that are even more hungry. Are they going to be as hungry as they were? It's kind of a tough read for me, but it's so hard to repeat. And they didn't obviously add Kevin Durant this time around. They actually had to lose a couple of players. Like Iguodala is basically just there for to be a moral support. Yeah, exactly. Like how much does Draymond have left in that tank? Like do
you believe in the rookies or the young players like
Kuminga and Moody?
I was about to say his nickname, but yes, Kuminga and Moody and
James Wiseman. Yeah, there's just a lot of questions. Like I think they could be really good.
I think that people assume that James Wiseman is what Jalen Duren is. No, like I think Wiseman's just big. Duren's like special athlete. So yeah, Penny has a type. Penny Hardaway has a type of big. So there's a chance that James Wiseman's good. I don't believe it, but I believe in Moses Moody to be good. I believe in Ryan Rollins to be good. I believe in Pat Baldwin to be good. Like, there's players that are coming up that could take on some roles for him. That's why I have him higher, but I absolutely could see your point in how it happens.
Who do you have at 3?
I have the Denver Nuggets. They're finally getting Jamal Murray back. They're finally getting healthy players coming in. They've done so, like, Jokic has carried that team so much, from like them being a competitive team when he was on the court to being the absolute worst team ever when he's off the court, to have his star point guard coming back, to have MPJ coming back. I mean, I believe that those core pieces, if healthy, can help that team and propel that team to a higher height. So if everybody's good and healthy and ready to come back and compete, I have them there. What about you?
At 3, I have the Clippers. Now, I think the Clippers are the best team in the Western Conference, but the Clippers are also notorious for not playing all the games. And again, you are going to have to take it slow with Kawhi Leonard. They're going to be cautious with Paul George, but man, I think that
I have them at 1.
It's now or never for the Clippers. Like, the roster's never going to be better. You have, Norman Powell and Robert Covington and John Wall, Zubac, like
Eric. Shit. Who's the small point guard from Boston Colleges that is good? Reggie Jackson.
I forgot he went. He did go to Boston. Yeah, they got Reggie Jackson.
I forget names. I remember weird statistics and
they
things
have probably the best coach in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I think their staff is the best coach team.
This is the team. I think they'll finish 3rd because they don't give a shit about the regular season. But this is the best team in the West.
So they have a 52.5 win total. Do you think that's right on line with what, or do
that's really low for the 3rd seed, in my opinion? Like, that's
really Vegas has them number 1 in the West.
But it's so hard because, like, teams in the NBA, they just don't value the regular season anymore. So
so Timberwolves are 48.5 win total. The Clippers are the best with a 52.5.
It'd be disgusting if 52 wins the Western Conference. Like, that's just disgusting. Like, let's try and play our players, folks. Who do you have at number 2?
I have the Golden State Warriors. I mean, I think that they're just a very well coached, very efficient organization that utilizes their players to benefit them the most. I think they're fantastic. To spoil it, I think they're going to be the Western Conference team in the finals. I think they're really well coached. So having them at 2, I think there's going to be games where they're just like, Jordan Poole and Ryan Rollins, you're running the show this game, because we don't necessarily care about winning these games, but we're probably going to win them because we're so good.
You ready for this, H?
Yeah, I've noticed that
there's a certain team I've been leaving off.
I know.
At number 2, I have your New Orleans Pelicans. I think this is the Memphis Grizzlies of 2022-2023.
I've been hurt so much, Dustin. I just don't believe it.
There's going to be a team that is going to surprise. Memphis did it last year. Like, it's just what it is. It's going to be the New Orleans Pelicans. They have a floor leader in CJ McCollum. Yes, he is a shooting guard, but he's
the point guard, bro.
He is the only ball handler that's going to get them in the offense. Yes, Brandon can handle the ball, but he's going to accept.
B.I.'s getting his own. He isn't setting up as much as CJ will.
Brandon Ingram, I think, is ready for another all-star caliber season. You have defense in Herb Jones, which I think is so key with all of the fantastic wings in the NBA. And then Zion coming in shape. Like, yes, you have, I understand all of your questions with spacing. I understand all of them with potentially rebounding as well. And how does he look defensively? But
if Zion's engaged,
engaged Zion Williamson is something the NBA has no answer for.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. And I think getting CJ McCollum added some stability to that franchise.
And him signing a contract too.
got him an extension, and I think he kind of got Zion into shape as well. It's like, hey, we're not fucking around here. Like, do you want to make more money? Like, do you want to and I think
Doggy, I don't know how the hell he got that extension. He doesn't deserve that extension because he didn't play. I don't know how he got it.
Well, probably talk to CJ and you need to start doing this.
Because he did. Remember the year he got the All-Star bid? He didn't get third team All-NBA. Julius Randle did. That should have negatively affected his ability to make money at that Supermax level. Don't know how he did it, but whatever. I'm not complaining.
I think the Pelicans are going to be an absolute force this year. I think coaches
are they your League Pass team this year?
If I had League Pass, yeah. Like if we're looking just Western Conference, like watchability, Memphis, New Orleans, and you know what? Sacramento. Outside of Portland, those are the three teams I would be excited to watch. I am all aboard New Orleans. I think what they present on the offensive end of the floor is going to keep coaches up at night. Like, this isn't a playoff series where you have days of prep and planning. You're on the fourth game in 7 nights and you got to deal with Zion, BI, and CJ. Yeah, good fucking luck. Like,
I think Trey Murphy could be a real impact player.
Absolutely. That's why I was upset he wasn't included in the McCollum trade. I really wanted Trey Murphy. I think he can stretch the floor. I really like New Orleans. You have the Clippers at 1. I mean, I think they're the best team. So
I think they're the best team. Yeah.
Any qualms for me? I have the Denver Nuggets at 1.
Totally understand it.
They are a team. Clearly, they have Jokic, the back-to-back reigning MVP, but they're getting some of their horses back. They want that home court advantage. They want you to have to come to Denver for a game 7. I mean, you might not be able to be like Portland and silence that crowd, which we did a couple of years ago, but they're going to want
that. It just showed how in shape Dame and CJ were.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, you still want that advantage. A healthy Michael Porter Jr. is a problem offensively. Jamal Murray, if he can regain his form, is a potential all-star. I don't love giving up Monte Morris and Will Barton for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. It is what it is. It's more of Jokic actually getting some pieces back. That's like, okay.
I mean, they're so much more improved than the last year's poopy-ass team outside of Jokic.
Who do you have in the Western Conference Finals, and who do you have in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I have to make up. I think it's going to be the Bucks Golden State Warriors in the finals.
But who do you have in the conference finals?
I have to make it up right now. I think it's Clippers Warriors in the West. I didn't really think about the East as much, so I think the Bucks versus. I don't want to forget about the negative vibes of Brooklyn or
Boston.
Celtics. So it's tough. Like, I think it's Milwaukee versus Brooklyn, where Milwaukee wins. What about you?
You have Milwaukee winning the championship?
I think Drew and Giannis and Chris get one more.
In the East, I have Milwaukee as well. I have them facing Cleveland. Here's why.
Because you didn't want to reward Brooklyn for the shit they pulled this summer?
Well, one, Brooklyn's not good enough. Like, we talk about bad vibes. Like, I think Kyrie is going to drive everyone freaking crazy by basically Thanksgiving. Who knows? Ben Simmons hasn't played basketball in like 2 years. Like, what are they getting there? It just seems like just a shit show in Brooklyn. Chicago, Lonzo can't stay healthy.
He isn't coming back for a while.
Boston, just again talk
bad
about
vibe central, bro.
Bad vibe central. Like, that Robert Williams is going to be sidelined for 4 to 6 weeks.
I think people underestimate how fabulous he is.
He's very valuable. I'm never going to pick Philly until they actually prove it. Like,
that should have been what my choose.
Talk about a team trying to get over the hump and just can't do it. I don't like the makeup of that team whatsoever. I love what Cleveland is doing. They have size, they have defense, they have scoring, they have guards, they have forwards. I mean, they have what Cleveland has is they have a core that is young, but they also know, I think, the pecking order. Like it may be Donovan this year, but he knows Evan Mobley's coming for that. And they also found, so when Colin Sexton went down, Darius Garland went up. Like his production, like they knew those two wouldn't work. So they went out and got someone
The
like
Donovan Mitchell to upgrade from Colin.
That is a nice
it's insane.
boost.
Yeah.
And Donovan gets to play with probably the best supporting cast that he has. He doesn't have to do everything. Like obviously, I love Evan Mobley. I really love what
Evan Mobley is the reason that he's changing basketball.
Yeah. And Jared Allen he actually can play.
Yeah, that's why I was excited about Chet. He can play with a real center. And it was all because of Evan Mobley breaking the mold of 7-foot dude that doesn't need to be center, is skilled enough to be the 4 or the 5. So, yeah, Evan Mobley's the best prospect since Anthony Davis as a big.
Yeah.
That draft was absolutely insane with the top tier talent.
In the West, I have the Clippers versus the Nuggets, and I have the Clippers going to the finals. I have them meeting the Bucks. I got Milwaukee. I'll take Giannis.
I just don't. I recognize that the Clippers are fucking excellent. I also recognize that they've blown a lot of opportunities in there.
They have. I think they'll get there. I love Giannis.
Giannis is just so special.
Yeah, let's be real.
I couldn't in my mind wrap my head around them winning a championship with how they've faltered in clutch moments. Yeah, and I know that this is the perfect opportunity for them to prove that they are winners, but it is what it is.
All right, Sage, we've been at this for quite a long time.
This is a 2-hour beast mode.
This is a beast. Holy Backboard is back. Preseason is underway. It kicks off tomorrow in Seattle against the Los Angeles Clippers. It'll be the first of 5 preseason games.
Is it televised?
Not on the Blazer broadcast, but I think the Clippers are broadcasting it. So if you're a sleuth online, you'll be able to figure out where to view that basketball game. Then they play the Jazz on the 4th. They play not an NBA team on the 6th, which is Thursday. Then they go to the Bay Area Sunday the 9th at the Kings and Tuesday the 11th at the Warriors. And then before you know it, Sage, it will be we'll have basketball. We'll have real basketball in a couple of weeks. And so it'll be interesting to see how the Blazers look in preseason. How much
they're like super duper vanilla, right?
Probably, Gary Payton II will be ready for the regular season. He will not play preseason.
More Shaedon Sharpe.
What I'm really looking for, I want to see Shaedon. I want to see Nasir. I want to see Keon Johnson. Like, I just want to see
Jabari Walker get some run.
Jabari Walker. I want to see, get some sweat and just see how they look together. Like, you could go 5-0, you could go 0-5. That does really not matter. Like, let's just stay healthy.
And, does Damian Lillard play?
Yes, absolutely. You have to play preseason,
but not real rotate. He's just getting that a nice light.
I think what coaches have done in the past is the second to last preseason game they'll do a real rotation.
But you shouldn't expect anything those first few games.
Probably just a little bit, but not. I would minimize it.
All right, are we wrapping this bad boy up?
Let's wrap this one up, Sage.
Right. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Himalaya Podcast, and anywhere else that you get your podcast that I did not mention, we are there. So tell a friend that the Holy Backboard is back. 308 episodes, 8 years of our life has been dedicated to this podcast, and we're not going anywhere. Be prepared for some content this year, and I will promise that I will actually tweet during games.